Okay, so back to Morris traversal. So what is the next thing that I have to check for? So Sahil started pointing us in the right direction, but there was one more thing that I needed to do to see before I find out my rightmost node of the left subtree. So what do? I need to latch on to my current node and then dig deep in my left subtree and find out the in-order predecessor of P.
Could you repeat?
So what is the next thing I need to do? Like you said that okay, spit out the content of P, which I can't, because in this case we start off with the root. And Navneet said that call this function after you find out the in-order predecessor of P, but that's not going to work because we need to reuse this logic somehow. So what is the next thing I need to do? I have pointed to my root and I need to somehow get to my left subtree. Check if the right child is null. Okay, if the right child is null, what do I get?
Bharat?
Yeah.
If P of left is, put it in a for loop.
Okay.
Okay, then you go like for P is equal to root.
For P
and
equals
P
root.
not equal to 0, semicolon, and then you open the for loop and you go like if P of left is equal to 0.
Okay.
And then you print the data, and then you're like, if print the data and go to P is equal to P of right, and then you give a continue.
So in all these things, what are you guys forgetting? It's if you just jump into to the left subtree, what do I lose out on? The moment I say P equals P pointing to left, what happens? I have access to my root node, and then these, let's take a very simple tree, 2, 8, 4, and this is my P.
You're using access to the root node itself.
Correct. So I have P. The moment I say P is P pointing to left, this is gone.
Keep a copy of the parent. Okay.
So somehow I need to latch on to this guy before I do anything else, right?
Yeah.
Before I go into finding the in-order predecessor printing, I need to somehow latch on to this guy. So I'm going to say my current node equals P. So now I have this dude keeping track of my parent so that I can do whatever I want to. And we'll use this as the key point, okay? And we'll say while current node is not equal to null, which in our case is not. Don't start overthinking and going down the tree. Let's take a very simple example where we had pointer to the root node, and my root node, I've assigned it to another pointer called current. So I have two things, P and current, both pointing to the root, and the root is definitely not equal to null. Let's say our binary tree is not such a small tree. So what I need to do is see if my left kid is null. If there is no left subtree, then in in-order traversal, left becomes nothing, and then I print out the root, right? So if current pointing to left is null, then I need to print the root node. Only in this case I need to print the root node. And let's say I have a print function which prints the data part of P. And then assign current to right. I'm done with my left tree, I'm done with my current node, and now I dump down the problem to my right subtree. And we kind of go back and apply the same logic for the right subtree. Current pointing to right. Right? So far so good? Are we clear until here? Okay. Otherwise, which means our problem is not so simple, we didn't get this easy task where the left subtree is completely blank. In this case, there exists a left subtree. So what we do is I latch onto my left subtree, the root of the left subtree. Okay, because now I need to find out the in-order predecessor. So I say node pointer left subtree equals current pointing to left. So this is basically the root of my left subtree. And I have a loop to find out the in-order predecessor. It basically says that while the right kid, keep going right, because we already said that the in-order predecessor is the rightmost node of the left subtree. So if this is not equal to null and we come to this AND part and tell you why we need that condition. Let's just pretend for now this is the only thing that you have to check for, okay? If the right node of this left subtree is not equal to null, keep going right. Left subtree equals left subtree pointing to right. Okay? So far okay? There's a missing condition, but I'll tell you why we need that condition. But let's pretend that does not exist. There is no AND. Is this clear until here?
Can you explain the else part again?
Okay. So else, if you are here, it means that there is a left subtree, right? So now grab onto the root of the left subtree. So if your binary tree was like this, this is where my left subtree would point to, starting from the root, right? So you don't care about that part. This is my root and this is my right subtree, which I don't care about. This is my left subtree, right? You latch on to this, which is current pointing to left. P and current are still here. So current pointing to left is here. So left subtree is the root of the left subtree. So what you do is that you need to find out the in-order predecessor of this. And the in-order predecessor of this we have already established is the rightmost node of this left subtree. So this part, what you're doing is to find out that guy, which is this guy, right? This is the rightmost node of my left subtree. So the moment I have a pointer to this, I keep going right. So I say that as long as its right is not equal to null, keep going right. Left subtree pointing to right, which is here, is not equal to null. So left subtree is left subtree pointing to right. So my left subtree pointer moves to here. Left subtree pointing to right is not equal to null, keep going. Here it is equal to null, so I will stop here, right? So finally I have a pointer. This pointer goes to here, which is what I wanted. I somehow wanted to find this guy. Remember that my current pointer is still here. I still have access to that guy, and now I have an access to this guy.
Yeah, got it.
So I need to connect these things, right? I need to connect. But before that, we need to add a condition here. What if this guy was already connected? Because we do it for this guy, there could have we could have already added the thread, right? And we said that before this problem finishes, at the end of this problem, we need to remove those links. So this guy could as well. This could be the second time we are revisiting this logic, which means we have printed the tree and now we are in that undo step where we have to cut these threads and put the tree back in the original state. So this condition basically states that make sure you do this as long as this is your first trip down the tree. And how do you know that? If it is your first trip, this thread will not exist. If this is your second trip, which means you are already in your undo state, then this thread will exist. And you want to do this only on your first visit. So what you do is you say left subtree pointing to right is not equal to current. Right? Left subtree pointing to right is not equal to current. This is my thread. Was that clear why we needed this part? We kind of thought ahead of ourselves and we added that logic because we forgot that we needed to cut the threads, right? So this part will come in handy for the cutting the thread part. This condition you don't have to check if it is your first visit. But how do you know if this is your first visit? You know it if this thread exists or not. And that is what we did. Was that clear? I need a verbal yes. It should point to P right. I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate, Rakesh?
It should point to P, right? The left, rightmost child.
It should point to P.
The root.
Yeah. So this is it also there are two pointers to this. We have designated P because P can go to anything. We will use this pointer of current. Both current and P point to the same node, so it doesn't really matter. Since they both point to the same node. Okay, since I am running out of space here, I need to erase this code, but you guys need to remember that whatever I write now is still a part of this else. Okay, I need to erase this code, but all the code that I write is a part of this else, and this while loop is still continuing. As long as current is not equal to null, we are doing something. So keep that in mind. Done with the snapshots? Okay. Okay. So once we had that part, I need to at least write the while loop once again so that it becomes clear. So what we did is that while the left subtree pointing to right is not equal to null and left subtree pointing to right is not equal to current, we kept on going to the right. So we stopped here, if you remember. That's what we did. Now we have come out of the while loop. Now we have pointed to this guy. So what we do is that if this is our first visit, meaning left subtree pointing to right equals null, you can get out of this loop if you satisfy these conditions, right? So if this is null, I'm sorry, this shouldn't be AND, this should be OR. It can't be both true. So if this can come out, you can exit the loop if this or this is satisfied. So if you're out, you're not 100% sure if it is this or this guy which broke the loop. So if the left subtree pointing to right is null, which means this is our first visit, then I need to add this thread, right? So you say that my left subtree pointing to right is my current. I added the thread now. The moment I add the thread, remember that we are still in the else part, which means we have still not printed anything. We need to print these things. The moment I've added the thread, now I'm happy. I can say, okay, go and do whatever you want with the left subtree, because I always have a way back to come back to current. So what I do is current equals current pointing to left. Now I have established this. Loop take care of my left subtree now, and print do the same thing again for this subtree. Another reason why we can't use P and why we have to use current is that my current value keeps changing. Okay? Else, if you are here, which means it was not this condition which broke the loop, but it was this condition which broke the loop. Which means now you are in your undo step. You've printed the whole tree, but you are at a point where you need to cut the threads, right? You need to cut the thread. What you do is return back to the same thing. You say left subtree pointing to right equals null, because that's what it was originally. So you cut this thread by making it point to null. And you print current node. When you are undoing stuff, you are done with this tree, which means you have successfully printed the left subtree. And in-order traversal states that once left subtree is done, you need to print the root and then the right. So you print the root. If you are here, you have already taken care of the left subtree. So you cut the ties, print the current node, and then push the problem to the right subtree. You printed this, and now you say do the same thing for right subtree. So current will be current pointing to right. And this is still a part of the big while loop, which says as long as current is not equal to null, keep doing this again and again. So if you saw in the code, there are three phases that we need to take care of. Phase 1 is that you are done with your left subtree. Phase 2 is that you are not done with your left subtree and you process that. Phase 3 is that you are done with your left subtree and your current node and you take care of the right kit. It seems a little complicated because there are a lot of ifs and a lot of these boundary conditions you need to check. But if you think about it conceptually, like the way we talked about, where we just add threads and cut threads, it becomes extremely simple to code this. Do you guys have any questions on this? No. Perfect. Okay, so that was Morris traversal. And then that kind of ends our tree traversal problems. Any questions on tree traversals in general? Okay, I'm going to take the silence as a no. The next few problems we're going to solve is basically reconstructing a binary tree. Okay, you're basically given something and you're asked to construct a binary tree from your given data. First problem is a very cliched problem. We usually step away from such problems, but for the sake of completeness, we need to kind of go over this so that it serves as a baseline to help us in our future problems. So in this problem, you are given an in-order traversal of a binary tree, and then you are given a pre-order traversal of a binary tree. Okay, and once you are given this, you are asked to construct the original binary tree. You should be able to uniquely identify what binary tree this thing represents and go about it. Can you tell about red-black trees? So, red-black trees was not in my agenda to discuss. It's not personally, I don't think of it as a um, as an interview favorite type of problem. Although there could be a few companies asking about red black trees. So, but if that's something that you guys really want to know about, then I can talk about it. But probably not in today's class because I need to brush up on my red black tree skills as well. But yeah, if there are things that you guys are seeing, there's a pattern that companies at your college are asking, let me know, and we can talk about it. But I'll make a note to find out something about red black trees, some interesting questions on that. So, are you guys familiar with this question, or this is like completely new to you?
It's familiar.
Say that again, Sahil.
It's familiar.
It's familiar.
We had this for, yeah.
Okay.
We had this for exams, like we studied all this.
Oh, wow, VTU had this?
Yeah, I guess so.
We are autonomous, Bharat.
Autonomous.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, cool. So you guys already know how these things work, right?
It's basically in order. You check the in order list first. You take the first element and check it in pre-order where it lies, like to the right or the left, and then you like construct the tree accordingly.
So you look at the in-order traversal, and I take the first element of my in-order traversal, which is my leftmost node.
I just plot it, and then take the second node from in order, and then check in pre-order where the second node lies, either to the left or the right of the first node, and then place it accordingly.
What does that say about? I don't see a pattern in this strategy.
Yeah.
So hold that thought. I'm going to get some water. You guys think about this. You have the right approach, but I think you swapped a few things. So think about it, and I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Navneet,
Yeah?
what's up, man?
You should tell that.
Asking you, man. What's up?
Yeah, nothing. I'm just bored. You?
Nothing, dude. I'm very tired today.
Why, what did you do?
I haven't slept properly. I've slept around like 5 hours in the last 48 hours.
This is great only, no? All lies, I believe. But studying for Cisco.
Crazy.
Don't lie, man. Everyone here will agree with me that you're studying, okay? Don't bully
Are
them.
you kidding me?
Look,
This
right
is
in
not
darkness.
even my...
Navneet Krishnan, all these things are being recorded.
Sorry, Sahil started it.
Sorry.
Just an FYI. Alright, so
Yeah, Bharat, I understood the concept.
okay, what is the
You have
concept?
the pre-order, the first node is the root.
Okay,
Pre-order. So you get the root node.
Okay.
And then check for the position of the root in order.
Mhm.
So the elements to the left of the root in order will be the left subtree, and the nodes towards the right of the root in order traversal will be the right subtree.
okay, perfect, that works. So can it uniquely identify me a binary tree?
No, I don't think so. Not,
it cannot uniquely identify me a binary tree.
It can give you a unique binary tree.
Okay, so it might give me a binary tree, but I want to be 100% sure that it can, there is no ambiguity. I don't want it to construct me a tree where there could be possibly another binary tree whose in-order and pre-order traversals are exactly the same as this tree, but this tree looks different than the tree that I just constructed.
Bharat, I think it should give you a unique tree.
It gives me a unique tree?
It should give you a unique one.
Okay. I have a homework problem. Think about this. Why do you think this would uniquely give me a binary tree? The answer, what Sahil said, is correct. It does uniquely identify a binary tree without any kind of ambiguities.
The
So think
thing
about
is,
it.
for each and every node, you get to know the position with respect to all other nodes.
Correct. Okay.
So it should give you a unique position every time. It will give you a unique position.
Okay. What is the time complexity of this strategy? What is the key operation? What is the most time consuming operation in this code? If you were to code this out with the approach that Sahil said, what is the
Check whether
weakest link?
it's the left subtree or the right subtree. The
Say that
comparison
again.
here. To check whether the node lies towards the right or the left.
To check whether a node. So I find out my root node,
So
which
suppose
is
you get a node and then the next node, whether it's the right child or the left child. So it's basically comparing every time.
so I identify the root of my tree. Then I get the root, which is very simple. This problem, if you break it down, fetching the root is very simple. It's just the first element.
First node.
And find this guy, find root in order, right? And then you just kind of recursively apply the same logic again and again. So these two are the core operations of this problem. So which takes longer time?
The find root in order, because at the max it can take O of n.
Correct.
Suppose if you have only like a left queued tree,
Mm-hmm.
so the root will be at the last position. So you have to travel all the nodes in your array or whatever.
Perfect, Vipul. So if you had this, my in order would be D, C, B, A, and my pre-order would be A, B, C, D. So for each node that I fetch from pre-order, my in-order node, you start scanning the array left to right. It's at here. So you kind of, this goes this way and this goes this way. So for each node, you need to scan the entire in-order array, which means this becomes order of n square. For every node, you scan through the entire array of in-order. Fetch root is just order of 1. So worst case, if you have a left skew tree or a right skew tree, it becomes n square. Well, not right skew tree, left skew tree, because we're talking about pre-order and in-order. So it takes n square. So how can I optimize this approach? What are the few things that I can tweak in this approach to reduce this gap? What is this? Essentially searching, right? How can I cut down on my search time?
You could start from the right side.
But no guarantees, right?
Oh,
You can
yeah.
construct it in another way and you can say. How do I optimize search? Forget the problem. This has nothing to do with binary trees itself. You're basically finding a root element, which is basically an integer value in an array of integers. right? In order is basically an array of ints. Pre-order is an array of ints. We're finding a key value in an array of integers, right? How do you? So this is n square because for every node I do n. So this by itself is essentially order of n operation, right? The total time complexity of this code is n square, but this operation itself is order of n time. What works better than order of n? You can have a log n approach, or you can have an order of 1. So few things you can do. You can use hash maps, where search time becomes order of 1. Another thing you can do is that if this was a binary search tree, what else could you have done? Let's say this was a binary search tree. I just said that this was a binary tree, but let's pretend that the tree that we were given happens to be a binary search tree. So how else would you optimize your code for this? What is the unique property of binary search tree when it comes to in-order traversal?
It gives you an ascending order.
Right. So essentially my array is sorted, right? So how long would this take?
For in general case or for the left skewed part type?
General case, binary search tree. You're given a binary search tree on an average case. We're not talking about skewed versions of a binary search tree. We're not even talking about binary search trees now. We have limited ourselves to a very simple problem. You need to find an element in an array of integers. You're essentially doing searching, right? We said that linear search takes n. So we could do better. We can make use of additional data structures like hash maps and try to cut down by making those things order of 1. But let's say this was a binary search tree. If this was a binary search tree, the in-order array is basically sorted. So now your task becomes find an element in a sorted array. What is this? This is a very simple problem, right? You guys have dealt with it a zillion times before. You need to find an element in a sorted array. What is this type of search called? How do you find out an element in a sorted array?
Binary search.
Yeah, binary search, right? So the binary search has this nice thing that if your array is sorted, you can jump to the middle element, kind of cut down stuff. And what is the time complexity? So it reduces to log n, right? So the overall time complexity can reduce to n log n. Right? So Rakesh was apparently saying these things, I just wasn't looking at the screen. So if this tree was a binary search tree, then you can optimize this to n log n complexity. But then let's say that I say that it's a binary search tree, but there are duplicate elements. What happens then? It is a binary search tree, but this dude has duplicate elements. In other words, what is the time complexity of binary search if the array contains duplicates? Very simplistically, forget trees. That's a problem by itself. We're not going to delve into that problem. But in general, what is the time complexity of binary search if the array has duplicates and you're searching for a key?
N, right?
Becomes n. So to answer that question, there are a few things that you can do to still make it log n. But the important question to ask is that, do you care whether you want to differentiate between two duplicate items? If there was another b in this, would you differentiate between this b and the duplicate b? In our case, it does matter which b you're talking about, because one b is here, another b could be here. Right? If there was another element, let's say b here, in our case, you need to differentiate between this guy and this guy, because if you swap that, then you construct another binary tree, which is not what I was looking for. So in our case, it could be n, but there are ways you can still tweak binary search to give you a log n time complexity, but then it's the more mutated versions of binary search, and we'll come to that when we talk about searching. But that is an important thing that you need to keep in mind. If someone asks you this question, it appears seemingly simple, you solved this problem, but there's a lot of other things that you need to think about. But the strategy that you guys talked about was correct. You look at pre-order, find out its index and in order, elements to the left constitute the left subtree, elements to the right constitute the right subtree, you kind of go over this again and again. That was an easy one. And now I'm going to make a claim. My claim is that if you are given a pre-order traversal, a post-order traversal, and a level order traversal, forget level order, let's make it very simple. You're given a pre-order traversal and a post-order traversal. Construct a binary tree so that there are no ambiguities. In other words, give me a unique binary tree that is represented by these two odd traversals. Was the question clear? It's essentially the last problem, except instead of in order and pre-order, you're given pre-order and post-order.
Bharat, I don't think you can construct a tree using pre-order and post-order.
Why not?
How will you know the in-order traversal gives you everything in ascending order, but here post and pre-order gives you in some random order.
Well, that is not true. In order will not give me anything in sorted order if it's a normal binary.
It's in ascending order, that's what I mean.
No, that is only true for binary search trees, right? If I give you a random tree and I give you an in-order traversal for that, there is no guarantee that it is in ascending, or descending order, right? This is my tree. The in-order traversal for this is 8, 2, 1.
Yeah, Bharat, just 1 second. And if your tree is complete, if your binary tree is complete, up till your last level, then I think it's possible to construct like if your final tree is a complete tree, then you can get it from pre-order and post-order.
Okay. I am not making any such claim.
I think you can't construct, because when you do a post-order traversal, the first okay, wait, I've written wrong. 1 second.
So Sahil claims that if it's a complete tree, then you can solve this, but let's not make any assumptions about the tree. Can you work with something? The first element of pre-order is a root, and the last element of post-order is a root.
Yeah, so first you take the post-order, start reading it from the right.
Okay?
You get the root.
Okay?
Then in the pre-order, you will get to know the left and right child.
How?
Of again you find the root in the pre-order.
Okay?
Vipin, you only come to know the left and the right child in order.
No, even
the root in reorder will be in the left subtree.
Yeah.
What is the problem here? So if, let's say you find out where the root is, you basically access the last element of post-order traversal. That is the first node in pre-order. But you can make no claims about the left or right subtree just by looking at the next element, right? Because even if the left subtree is blank, then the second element becomes the right kid. But if the left subtree is present, then the second element is the left subtree, it's the left child. You have no way to differentiate which is your life. If your left subtree exists, if it exists where it is, you can make no such claims from just your pre-order and post-order. You need in-order because 100% guaranteed that if you can identify the root of an in-order traversal, you can say that everything that comes to the left of this root must be in the left subtree. I don't know where it is, but it should be in the left subtree. Similarly, you can say that all the elements that come to the right side of the root in an in-order traversal must be 100% in the right subtree. Even if you cannot make claims about where it belongs just yet, first iteration, but you can kind of divide it that way. Pre and post order traversals, unfortunately, it does not give you the luxury of identifying such subtrees. You start with where the root is and you say that okay, the root is the first element of my pre-order traversal and the last element of my post-order, and then you're kind of stuck. You can't use this information to do anything else, so there's nothing for you to work with. So let's say I have two trees, 2 and 3, another tree, 2 and 3. The way you can see why this wouldn't work is just very simple. Take this case. The pre-order traversal for this is root left right, which is 2 3. The post-order traversal for this is left right root, which is 3 2. Okay. The pre-order traversal for this is root left right, which is 2 3. The post-order traversal is left right root, which is 3 2. Notice how the pre and post-order traversals are exactly the same for two trees which are completely different. Which means that you can never uniquely identify a binary tree if you're just given your pre and post-order traversal. So before you start thinking about it, chop out a picture and see if you can get two trees with the same traversal. So with just this traversal you can get two trees, which means you cannot uniquely identify a binary tree. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make it more interesting. Let's say I give you a level order traversal. Then what? Can you do it now? I'm giving you 3 traversal mechanisms.
Bharat,
Yeah,
in this example of this 2 and 3,
yeah.
your level order traversal is same as a post order, right?
It's the same as post order.
No, pre-order, sorry.
Okay. And what is that?
So
Why do we
what I'm
care
trying
if
to
the
say
others?
is, see, you're giving us 3 traversals, but 2 of them give the same value.
Okay.
So
That
basically
happens to be true, but your selling point is not that level and pre-order are the same. The selling point is that the level order is the same for both trees again. You basically need to come up with some traversal where this and this gets differentiated. You can keep adding different traversal mechanisms as long as they just keep matching this, which again it did, 2 and 3. You have no way to use this information. What is the in-order traversal? Left, root, right.
Left, root, right.
And in-order traversal for this is left, root, right. 2, 3. There. You found a difference. Right? Because in-order can identify what it can differentiate between two trees where pre, post and level order traversal is exactly the same. So to put it in other words, if you have to uniquely construct a binary tree given a traversal mechanisms, you have to have at least one traversal which is in order. Right? In order traversal is a must. Only to uniquely identify a tree. If someone asks you a question and says, I don't really care, as long as it's a binary tree that you construct near the end, then you can work with something. But if the question is to make sure that it's the one and only thing, then in-order traversal is definitely a must. Alright. The next question is that you're given an in-order and a pre-order traversal. Your goal is to spit out the post-order traversal of the tree. You're given an in-order and pre-order.
Without constructing the tree.
What?
Should we do this without constructing the tree?
So if someone asks you this in an interview question, your first option one would be to say, okay, I'm going to construct a tree, which we already solved in the first problem. It's a simple problem. We construct the original binary tree and do a post-order traversal. That is option one. Construct your tree and then do a post-order traversal. Let's make it more interesting, and let's say that you cannot construct a tree. You just need to spit out the post-order traversal without trees. No construction. And we want this option. Because obviously this is more efficient. We're not constructing a tree. They just want a post-order traversal, so there's really no requirement to take up so much memory and construct the entire tree itself. So, how do we start? Shouldn't be that difficult also, right? We kind of already established a strategy for this, but we just don't have to construct the tree in this case, that's all. Right? We need something, guys. We need to start with something. So it shouldn't be that difficult. Give it a shot. Can you guys hear me, or are you guys thinking?
Thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't come up with a solution, but see, you get to know the root, and then you get the right subtree and the left subtree, the elements in the right subtree and the left subtree.
Okay.
Then it's like
So our strategy is still not going to change, right? You need to somehow find out that, go there, but it's just going to be a little different, that's all. Let's say I accept an array in, an array pre, and let's say I have the length of these arrays. What is the first thing that you do? You have access to pre of 0 and you need to basically search for it, find out where it lies in your in-order array, right? So I say root index, let's say I have a helper function search which will take in my array which needs to be searched, takes in my key value which is pre of 0 and then the length. Right, pass in my in-order array, this is my key and this is the length of the array, and I say go search, and I can implement this function any way I want to. I can use hash maps if it's a binary search tree with no duplicates, and I can use binary search. There are different ways I can do it, but we already talked about it. Let's pretend this guy is already implemented. There's a magic oracle which will just tell me where the root index is. Now in this case 3 things can happen, right? My left subtree may be empty, my right subtree may be empty, or I can have both of them to exist, meaning I have both my left subtree and my right subtree. So let's say my left subtree is not empty. How do I check for that condition here? I have access to this. How do I check if my left subtree is empty or not? Root index is basically the position of the root in the in-order traversal, okay? Let's say it is 2 something 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 in pre-order traversal, and in order, okay, I look for this here. This is my root index. With just a pointer to this value, if I have access to this value, to the index of this value, how can I say whether my left subtree is empty or not? In-order traversal has root at the beginning. That is not true, right? That is pre-order. I don't know if this was for a different question before. Looks like it, so. So,
if in-order traversal has a root at the beginning, then it means its left subtree is empty.
Perfect. Okay. So so essentially what Rakesh said is that if this 2 was also here, which means there's nothing to the left. And the way I check it is, say if root index is not equal to 0. If this index is not this, it means it's somewhere else other than the first element, which means the left subtree exists, right? If the left subtree exists, what does post order do? Post order is left, right, root. So I need to take care of my left subtree first. So I just recursively call this, pass my in order. This notation basically means pass in the entire array starting from the first element. So it is pre plus mon, and I have the length. So this essentially means a left subtree exists, so take care of the left subtree first. Second case we already talked about was, we said that if my right subtree exists or not, given the position of this root index, how do I know if a right subtree exists or not? Essentially try to use the same thing.
Root will be at the end.
Root will be at
For
the
in-order
end.
traversal.
Correct. So if my root is at the end, if this guy was here, there's nothing over this side, which means the right subtree does not exist. So if root index not equal to length minus 1. If it is not equal to length minus 1, which means the right subtree exists. And since post order also processes the right subtree before it goes to the root, I need to process my right subtree. Post order. You get what I'm saying, right? You need to we process the left and then we have to process the right. This will be in order plus root index plus 1. My array has shifted now because I'm talking about the right subtree. Initially we were searching here for the left subtree part. Now I need to search for things here. So clearly it is whatever this position is plus that, right? Then pre-order plus root index plus 1 and length becomes length minus root index minus 1. We're essentially basically saying search for it, process these elements now, process the right subtree. So once you are done processing my left subtree and the right subtree, post order traversal says process the root, which basically means print pre of 0. We have hard coded this to 0, but note that the way this would still work is that I change my array of pre-order, like I'm passing only subsets of pre. So this would still essentially print me the root. And that is it. So all we did was we took the first element of pre-order, searched for the position of that in my in-order array, and based on that we saw whether the left subtree and the right subtree existed. If a left subtree existed, we just said okay, recursively I'm going to dump this problem on my left subtree. Similarly, we checked if a right subtree exists, and if it exists we need to print that first before we process the root, and we said okay, I don't care how you solve it, but recursion take care, I'm passing you my right subtree, which is essentially what I passed. These are basically subsets of this subset of in-order array of the parent array is basically the right subtree. This is the right subtree. This is the length of the right subtree. And finally I said okay, left and right is done, print my root. Was that clear? Verbal yes. I want you guys to speak up.
No, Bharat, could you repeat?
Okay. So did you until there was a point until which you understood and then you kind of it became unclear?
I got to know to find out the left subtree and the right subtree if they exist.
Okay.
After that,
So after that there's nothing. So once I find out my left and I'm done processing my left and right subtree, essentially what I do is just print the root. But the key point here is to basically call this recursively on your left subtree and the right subtree, right? You understood. Don't think about the second step of recursion. Like I've already talked about this in our previous classes. Sometimes ignorance is bliss when it comes to recursion. Don't try to overthink and look at the second level of recursion and see what happens. Just pretend that this is just magic. Pretend these things are going to work. The moment you delve into it and start analyzing why this would work, your head starts hurting. So let's pretend for just first run of this program it works. I find out the root index, which is essentially here. Post order says you need to print these contents first, right? So all I do is say okay, I've already solved this problem. This is the key operation of this entire code is this. I'm already done that. So recursively apply that to this array. Only for the left subtree part. Look at in order and then pre-order part and just apply it only for there. The moment that is done, if it is here, then I see if a right subtree exists. If it exists, then forget about the left part. Only care about this part. You have already pretend that you have solved it for the base case, which you already have. Your base case is this. If there's nothing, no left and right, you just print out the thing. Just dump this problem to your right subtree. The only thing you need to take care of is that when you dump these problems to your kids, you need to make sure that the array that you are passing is correct. That is probably the most difficult part of this problem, is to make sure that you very subtly pass in the right content of the array to these problems. So just pass in the right subtree parts. And once you are done with processing both your left and right subtree, there is nothing more to do. All you need to do is to print the root. So what I want you guys to do is that after this class is over, look at this code and work with a binary tree. Write down the in order and the pre-order, and step through these things and see why this would work. If you can convince yourself for 2 levels, then it will work for future levels as well. Just do it for 2 levels and see why this would work. The hardest part is this part. This is still simple. You know that, okay, to the left is very simple because everything starts from 0. The hard part is jumping to this part and accessing that part. But if you work with a binary tree on paper, then I bet you'll understand. If it still doesn't make sense, then we'll talk about this, bring this up in our next class, and we'll still talk about it. But it should be fairly simple. With this code and an example, you should be able to figure it out. Okay?
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. I'll try to upload the video if this thing works, and if it works, then it'll be good. You guys can go back and revisit these problems. But I already think that the first part of the video kind of crashed because my laptop was hanging. So we'll see how this one works. Okay, our next problem is that you're given an in-order traversal, and then you're given a level order traversal. You need to uniquely construct a binary tree from these traversals. First of all, is it possible to identify a binary tree without any ambiguity if you're given these 2 traversals? If you're given an in-order traversal and a level order traversal, so it is possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you an in-order traversal, which is 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. That's my in-order traversal, and my level order traversal is 8, 4, 9, 2, 6, 10 and 1. I've given you 2 traversals and you need to, just in concept, forget about the coding part, just in concept, tell me how you would construct the binary tree for this.
See, but 8 becomes your root.
8 becomes the root, okay.
4 and 9 are the left and the right child of the root. 4 and 9.
Are the left and the right child? How can you say that?
Level order goes in that way, right?
What if the left child was missing?
Oh.
All you have established till now is that 8 is the root. It's the same kind of strategy that you would apply if it was in and pre. The moment you identify the root in pre, what do?
Take elements from the level order and then check the position in order.
Correct. So the moment I fetch the root, I go here and I know these things. 8 is here, right? Elements to the left of 8 must be left subtree, elements to the right of 8 must be right subtree. So I have this 1, 2, 4, 6. They're somewhere there. I still don't know where it is, but it's there. 9 and 10 are here. So we have already established this. right? Now you kind of, let's just focus on left. Let's pretend that does not even exist. So look at this. My in-order traversal is 1, 2, 4, 6. Take your level order traversal. Forget elements which are not one of these, but just write down the order of these elements in here. 1, 2, 4, 6 are here. So write it down the way it comes in level order. 4, 2, 6, 1. Right? So once you have these elements, identify where they are and spit out the order in which these elements occur in level order. Forget that there is an 8, 9, 10. You don't care about that. You only care about these values. And apply the same logic once again here. Level order traversal, this must be the root. So you have 4. Identify 4 here, which is here. So 1 and 2 must be here. And 6 must be here. Okay, apply the same logic again. In order traversal is 1, 2, and if 6 is to the right of 4, we already know that it must be a right child because there is nothing else. Level order traversal is 2 and 1. So identify the root here. Level order, this is the root. To the left of the root is a left child. So it is 4, 6 here, then 2, and then 1. Was that clear why it would be like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Same.
But this is basically the way we go about in all these problems.
Correct. It's basically the way you go about in all these problems. So there's nothing extraordinarily different here. It's essentially the same thing. But if you are to be given this and this is the way you would do it. All you need to do is to code this up. You would have to tweak the way your in order and pre-order to work it for level order. It shouldn't be mighty difficult. So we are not going to write the code for it, but just discuss it as a concept. But I want you guys to go back and write the code for this and convince yourself why this would work. Same thing goes here. In order traversal is 9, 10. Level order traversal is 9, 10. Right? So this must be 8, 9 and 10. So combine these both things and essentially you get the final tree. 8, 9, 10. This would be 4, 2, 1, 6. So this is the final binary tree if you given in order and level order. That clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, our last problem for the day is that you're given a pre-order and a post-order traversal. Okay, and you need to construct a fully binary tree or a full binary tree. What is a full binary tree? We talked about this in our first class when we laid down some definitions for the binary tree classes. Do you guys remember what a full binary tree is? It's also called as a strictly binary tree. What is a strictly binary tree? All leaves are at the same level. That is not true. You're talking about a complete binary tree. The way we define complete.
Node can have 0 or 2 children.
That is correct. So a strictly binary tree is one where every node has either 0 kids or 2 kids. And every node is either a leaf or it has both kids. You can't have a node with just one kid. Okay. So given just the pre-order and post-order, can you uniquely identify or construct a binary tree that is full? You have already given the fact that the binary tree that represents this is a complete, it's not complete, it's a strictly binary tree. So just given the pre-order and the post-order, can you construct a full binary tree? And it has to be unique, of course.
I don't think this is possible.
Don't think it's possible? Okay. Why not? If you were to make this assumption, why do you think we would not be able to identify? Know that I'm not saying that you should just construct a general binary tree. This is the additional clause.
You need in-order traversal.
Okay. So that is true only if it was not necessarily full. It so happens that if you are given that the tree that you're going to construct is a full binary tree, it is possible to just use pre-order and post-order traversal and uniquely construct a full binary tree for this. We'll work with an example so that it becomes clear. But just remember that this is the problem, and a strictly binary tree means that every node has either 0 or 2 kids.
Bharat,
Yeah.
see, so we can get the root from pre-order.
Correct.
That's the first element and the last element in post-order. So you
Correct.
get the root. And then since you know it's a full binary tree, that means the root will have a left child and the right child.
Okay.
If there are more than one element, then it has both the left child and the right child.
Right.
So the second element in the pre-order will be the left child of the root.
Just brilliant, just brilliant. That is perfect. So we'll work with an example, but Sahil just nailed the explanation. So let's say I have an pre-order is 1, 2, 4, 8, 9, 5, 3, 6, 7. Okay. And my post order is 8, 9, 4, 5, 2, 6, 7, 3, 1.
And also Bharat,
Yeah.
now in this case 1 is the root and 2 is the left child of the root.
Correct.
Now if you consider 2 in post order,
Mm-hmm.
the elements towards the left of 2,
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't they be the left subtree and the elements towards the right of 2 be the right subtree?
So elements to the left of the root,
Left of 2,
left of 2,
should be the left subtree,
correct.
and the elements on the right hand side should be the right subtree.
Perfect. You actually basically just grabbed all the things that I needed to say. But I'll continue this for the rest of the people who didn't quite understand but Sai just nailed it. So the reason why we couldn't deal with just pre-order and post-order for a normal binary tree, let's pretend it was not full. Okay, for a normal binary tree, the first step is that you identify the root. Root is here, and then you can make there is no connection. If it was in order, you can find out the position of one, elements to the left are left, elements to the right of that thing are the right subtree. You can keep going. But if you're just given these two and they ask you to uniquely identify a normal binary tree which is not necessarily full, there is nothing that you can do after identifying this. But if you are given that it is a full binary tree, meaning every node has either 0 or 2 kids, you identify the root. So 1 must be here. Okay. Since pre-order has more than one element, clearly 1 is not the only element, there is more than this. 2 has to be the left child. Let's say it wasn't. Let's say that left child was blank. Okay. And we get this. If you think that 2 can be a left or a right child and left child was blank and 2 is this, it immediately broke the condition that it is a full binary tree. Remember that you can never have this condition where a node has only one kid. Every node must have either 0 kids or 2 kids. If there was 0 kids, then the pre-order traversal would have ended at 1. Clearly there are more elements, which means this guy has 2 kids. And if he has 2 kids, the next element must be the left child. Was that clear? So far so good. Did you understand why 2 must be a left child of 1?
Yeah.
Okay. If 2 is the left child, then all elements before 2 in the post order must be in the left subtree. If 2 is the left child, since post order basically says left, right, root, right? And if this is the left child, if you are here, if this is the left child, post order basically says left, right, root. So you know that all this must be a part of the left subtree of 1. You can kind of also identify what is the right subtree. It should be this, because this is the root. And post order says left, right, root. If this is the left child, and everything must be left, then right, then root. So now I know the left child has 1 also has 8, 9, 4, 5. It's there somewhere. And to the right of 1 is 6, 7, 3. Okay, again repeat the same logic once again. My pre-order traversal is 8, 9, 4, 5. My post-order traversal was 8, 9, 4, 5. My pre-order traversal is 8, 9, 4, 8, 9, 5. So take my pre-order traversal and apply the same logic again. So this should be 1, 2, 4. And you basically take root. Everything else to the left of this must be 8, 9 should be here. And 2 should be here. It can't be here, because if you make 5 here, then it breaks the condition of a strict binary tree. Right? 2 cannot just have one node which is 4. So 5 must be here. And the only way you can structure 8, 9 and 4 is that if 8 and 9 are the kids of 4. Keep in mind that it has to be a strict binary tree. So anything that you make, it has to be a strict binary tree. So the same thing goes for here. Pre-order traversal for 6, 7, 3 is 3, 6, 7. Post-order traversal is 6, 7, 3. Right? Take 3. So now you know that 1 must be connected to 3, because that is the root. Right? The only way you can have 6 and 7 both here, this clearly there is something else here which we have already solved from here. We don't care about that. The only way 6 and 7 can coexist here is that if they are like this. If it was anything else, it wouldn't have been a strictly binary tree. If this was like this, then it violates strictly binary tree. If this was like this, then it violates strictly binary tree. So the only way this can coexist is that this is 6 and that is 7. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this one is definitely challenging to code. It's not as simple as the rest of our traversals, the other reconstruction code that we wrote. It is definitely more challenging. But before I attempt it in the class, I want you guys to give it a shot. And I want to go with what you guys have in our next week's class, we'll write the code for this problem in the next week's class. If I forget to do it, then remind me. But it's definitely challenging to code. But if you get the concept on how it works, then it definitely helps. You already have a head start. So think about it. Try to come up with some code. We'll talk about it in our next class. We probably have a few more on on tree reconstruction. And once we're done with that, we'll move on to binary search trees. I'm kinda digging deep about binary trees because there's so many interesting questions that can come out. It's a very data structure oriented topic, but a lot of companies do kind of drill you guys about binary trees, so it's always a good process to solve these problems. Any questions so far in general about this class, about where we are heading, anything? We have Cisco internship next week, so we better have class on Saturday. And Rakesh says no. So, okay, if you guys are...
I had a question in that linked list PDF you had sent.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the easy section. It's like find out the middle node of single linked list in one traversal.
Right.
So I didn't get any logic for that.
So how did you go? What was your initial
I
approach?
thought like multiple pointers type, but then even that required more than one traversal. So
okay, other people. So the question was that you need to find out the middle node of was that a singly linked list?
Yeah, single linked list.
Yeah, singly linked list in just one traversal. Did any one of you solve that? Look at the linked list problem that I sent out. So apparently no one other than Lucas.